Thank you. Ms. Christensen, I want to thank you for sharing your experience with us. I can only imagine how hard it is for you to speak publicly about such a painful and difficult decision that you and your husband had to make. But I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to hear stories like yours. And as we deal with the facts, as I just heard my colleagues say, that the facts of what led you to make this painful decision are important for us to hear. So the real stories of women who want nothing more, as you did, than to have a child, but because of circumstances outside their control, turn to abortion as the best of all terrible options available. And frankly, the babies who are born under, the circumstances of the mothers who make this decision usually are in the later stages of pregnancy. These are mothers who want their babies. Why can't we understand that? Okay? So without voices like yours, people wouldn't understand the dangers of a bill like this one we are talking about today. So thank you for being here and demonstrating once again why women and women's stories should be front and center in the national conversation about abortion. And Ms. Cosgraves, thank you for being here as well and for being such a fierce champion for women across the country. At a time when women's rights and women's health are under attack, I feel as though like every single day from Donald Trump and the Republican Party, the work of the National Women's Law Center is as urgent as ever. We live in an age of disinformation, so-called alternative facts, outright lies. It's bad enough that we all have to deal with these problems on social media and in the Oval Office, but they have now infected the Senate Judiciary Committee. This morning we've heard talk about the urgent need for a bill that bans infanticide, and that Democrats are somehow standing in the way of such a ban. Let's be clear, no one here is in favor of infanticide. No one here believes in killing or harming infants. Infanticide is a crime, and it always has been. And to the extent that anyone was confused about it, a law was passed, as mentioned in 2002, making it explicit. And that law expressly states that, quote, every infant member of the species Homo sapiens who is born alive at any stage of development, end quote, is a person. In other words, an infant, no matter how they came into this world, is entitled to the same legal protections as any other person. That is already the law. So if infanticide is already illegal in this country, why are we here? Why are my Republican colleagues pushing so hard for this bill? And the answer is simple. This bill is the latest in a decades-long effort by Republicans, mainly to take control of women's bodies and prevent us from exercising our constitutional right to make personal decisions, which include abortion, in this country. And it attempts to intimidate abortion providers by setting a vague standard of care and threatening doctors with up to 5 years in prison for failing to meet it. And worse, the bill steps between a family and the family's doctor on what is likely the most difficult day of that family's life. And the bill superimposes the Republican Party's political agenda on a grieving family's wishes. Take a few minutes to read the open letter Meredith Shiner sent to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy last year. Meredith was 22 weeks, 6 days pregnant, when she unexpectedly went into labor. As her doctor prepared her to give birth, Meredith was told that due to her child's early stage of development, he had no chance of living a healthy life. So this is not just about looking at gestational age. It has to do with the condition of the infant. She was nonetheless given the option of aggressive intervention. She ultimately decided against this path and instead chose palliative care. As she wrote, our son was born alive, but with no chance at a healthy life. And so we held him, touched him, and looked at him until he gently passed away. This bill not only offers a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, it targets women at the most vulnerable moment when they are facing the anguish of losing a child they desperately wanted. And it hurts families by stepping between them and their doctors. And I have to say that, there are right-minded, good-hearted people on both sides of the abortion issue. And why should the Senate step in and put its thumb on the scale? I agree with Senator Durbin. Why aren't we worrying about infant mortality? Why aren't we worrying about maternal mortality? Why aren't we worrying about the children who rely on SNAP, on CHIP, on Medicaid, half of the babies born in this country are on Medicaid, but do I hear a hue and cry about the fact that there are massive cuts to these programs that babies and their mothers and their families actually rely upon? There's almost $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid in this president's budget. Do I hear any of my colleagues who support this bill worrying about that? No, I do not. So to me, I heard that the state has an interest in the unborn child. I thought the state also has an interest in women having control over our own bodies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.